guys, welcome. I am going to be your independent reading teacher today, and probably for the next couple of days, actually. We are going to be reading Magic Treehouse number 43, Leprechaun in Late Winter by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1, A Beautiful Word. It was a chilly afternoon in late winter. Annie was doing her homework on the computer in the living room. Jack sat on the couch and stared at a blank page in his small notebook. He heaved a sigh. What's wrong? Said Annie. I have to write a story for school, said Jack, and I'm stuck. You'd better get unstuck, said Annie. Mom and Dad said we have to get our homework done before we go to the theater with them tonight. I know, said Jack, but I can't think of anything to write about. Why don't you do what you love to do, said Annie. Go outside and write down facts about what you see, then turn them into a story. Hey, that's a good idea, said Jack. Thanks. He jumped up, grabbed his coat from the hall closet, then taking his pencil and notebook with him, he headed outdoors. The early March weather was sunny but cold and windy. Jack looked around. He wrote down some facts in his notebook. Old snow in yard, sun sparkling on sidewalk. Jack looked up again. Treetops swayed in the March winds. Jack started to write about them. But when he looked down at his notebook, he nearly dropped his pencil. On the page were two large fancy letters. T.K. Oh, man, whispered Jack. He dashed back in the house and into the living room. Annie, look! Jack held up his notebook. Look at this. Annie stared at the page. Old snow, sun sparkling. Nice. No, not that, said Jack. The letters. Annie looked at Jack like he was a little crazy. What letters? She said. Jack looked back at the page. They're gone. He said a big fancy T and K. T and K, said Annie. Yes, for Teddy and Kathleen, said Jack. The letters just appeared on the page when I was outside. We're there, really. I believe you, said Annie. She jumped up from the computer. Let's go. Wait, I have to get my backpack from upstairs, said Jack. Forget it. Come on. The treehouse must be waiting for us, said Annie. Okay, said Jack. He quickly shoved his notebook and pencil into a pocket of his coat. Annie grabbed her jacket. Mom, Dad, we're going to take a little break from our homework, she called. Okay, but make it short. We have to leave for the theater by 7. Their dad called from the kitchen. We will, said Jack. Jack and Annie headed outside. They ran over the melting snow in their front yard and up the sun-sparkling sidewalk. They charged across the street into Frog Creek. They hurried between the wind-blown trees until they came to the tallest oak. High in the branches was the magic treehouse. Their friends from Lot, Teddy, and Kathleen were looking out the window. Hello, called Kathleen. Hi, shouted Annie, waving. Good trick with the magic letters, Jack called. We thought you'd like that, said Teddy. I just learned how to do it. Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed her. They climbed into the treehouse and hugged the young enchanters. So what's up today? Said Jack. Where does Merlin want us to go now? Asked Annie. Merlin wants you to go to Galway, Ireland, said Kathleen. Ireland? Cool, said Annie. Morgan sent us to Ireland once before, to the 9th century, said Jack. Yes, well, this time you will go to Ireland in the 19th century, said Teddy. To 1862, to be exact. Your mission is to find an imaginative and creative girl named Augusta. Augusta doesn't know yet what her talents are, said Kathleen. She lives in a time when it is not easy for girls to explore their creativity. Your mission will be to inspire her so she can give her gifts to the world. What does the word mean exactly? Asked Annie. Inspire. Oh, 'tis a beautiful word, said Kathleen, her sea blue eyes shining. It means to breathe life into a person's heart, to make her feel joyful to be alive. That is beautiful, said Annie. You may need some magic to help you, said Teddy. From the corner of the treehouse, he picked up the magic trumpet that had helped them on their last journey. Only this time, Teddy handed the trumpet to Kathleen. She held the shiny brass instrument for a moment, then she tossed it into the air. The trumpet spun like a whirlwind. There was a flash of blue light, and the trumpet was gone. In its place was a thin silver pipe with 6 holes. What's that? Breathed Jack. An Irish whistle, said Kathleen. She plucked the instrument from the air. When you face great danger, one of you must play it. It will make magical music, and anything the other one sings will come true. But remember, said Teddy, its magic will work only once. Right, said Annie. Thanks, said Jack. He took the Irish whistle from Kathleen, put it into his pocket, and did Morgan send a research book to give us information? Not this time, said Teddy. Morgan wants you to draw upon your own experiences in life to help you on this journey. No problem, said Annie. Jack wasn't sure about that. He liked having a book of facts to help them. So, how do we find Augusta? Said Annie. It should be easy to find her, said Teddy. When you land in the county of Galway, Ireland, just ask anyone for directions to the big house. Hold on. Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, County of Galway, Ireland, Augusta, big house. Got it, said Jack. But how do we get to Ireland in the first place if we don't have a research book? Point to the notes you just made and make your wish, said Kathleen. And when you are ready to come home, said Teddy, use the Pennsylvania book as you usually do. Got it, said Jack. Go now and help Augusta, said Kathleen. She needs you. Jack pointed to the words Galway, Ireland in his notebook. I wish we could go there, he said. Bye, Annie said to Teddy and Kathleen. Farewell, said Kathleen. Good luck, said Teddy. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Chapter 2. The Big House. A cold wind blew rain into the treehouse. Jack shivered. He was wearing an old overcoat and ragged trousers. Annie wore a scarf, a shawl, and a long red wool dress. They both wore scuffed, worn boots. So where are we? Said Jack. He and Annie looked out the window. The treehouse had landed in a tree at the edge of a green meadow dotted with woolly white sheep. Next to the meadow was a narrow lane. It ran uphill between low stone walls. Through the drizzle, Jack could see mist-covered mountains in the distance and a flash of silver sea. It looks like a scene in a fairy tale, said Annie. Yeah, a fairy tale with bad weather, said Jack. I wonder where the big house is, said I don't know, but I'd like to get inside it now, said Jack. Me too, said Annie, shivering. Let's go. Jack crammed his cold hands into the pockets of his torn coat. In one pocket, he felt his notebook and pencil. In the other, he felt the Irish whistle. I've got the whistle, he said. Good, said Annie. She held her red skirt and started down the rope ladder. Jack climbed down after her. Annie pulled her shawl tightly around her shoulders. Jack turned the collar of his coat. As they tramped through the wet meadows, he could feel he felt cold water seeping through holes in his boots. Jack and Annie climbed over a stone wall into the muddy lane. A horse-drawn wagon was rattling toward them down the hill. The wagon was filled with squealing pigs. Excuse me, Annie called to the driver. Can you tell us where the big house is? An old man with a tired, rugged face pointed back up the hill. Thanks, said Jack. The large wooden wheels wagon rumbled past, splashing Jack and Annie with mud. Yuck, said Annie. Now we're cold and wet and dirty, said Jack. Yeah, we're going to look great when we get to the big house, said Annie. So what do we do when we get there? Asked Jack. When we find Augusta, maybe we tell her that Teddy and Kathleen sent us. like we told Louis Armstrong in New Orleans. Just thinking about their adventure with Louis Armstrong made Jack smile. I don't know if that will work, he said. His world seems so different from this world. There was so noisy and busy. Here it feels lonely. Well, we won't know until we find Augusta, said Annie. Let's go. Jack and Annie lowered their heads. They plodded up the lane, sloshing in and out of giant puddles. When they reached the top of the hill, they stopped. The muddy lane wound down past more sheep, meadows, and some cottages, past a long stable and several barns. At the end of the lane was a large open gate that led onto the grounds of a white mansion. Gray smoke rose from the mansion's chimney. The big house, said Annie. Maybe the people who live there will invite us to get inside to get warm and dry by a fire, said Jack. Jack and Annie started down the lane. As they passed the sheep meadows, black and white dogs barked at them. When they walked by several boys hauling wet hay, the workers looked up and eyed them suspiciously. Jack was relieved to get to the gate and head back toward the big house. When they reached the front door, Annie lifted the heavy knocker and let it drop. A moment later, the door opened. A pale teenage girl looked out. Who are you and why are you here? Well, started Jack. Are you the ones the butler sent for? The girl asked. The butler, said Jack. Yes, we are, said Annie. Then you should go round to the back, the girl said. Before Jack and Annie could ask for Augusta, the girl slammed the door in their faces. Nice, said Jack. I hope she wasn't Augusta, said Annie. Why did you tell her yes? It's a way to get inside the big house, said Annie. Come on. Jack and Annie tramped through the mud to the back of the mansion. They stopped at the door beneath a large smoking chimney. Annie knocked again. This time a young red-haired girl in a cap and apron opened the door. Yes, she said. Is your name? Started Annie. Who is it, Molly? Someone called from inside. Molly? She's not Augusta, thought Jack. Who are you? Molly asked them. We're the ones the butler sent for, said Annie. You, said Molly. She looked doubtful. Well, come in and see him then. Jack and Annie stepped inside. He's in the kitchen, said Molly. She started down the hall. Jack and Annie followed Molly to the doorway of a dimly lit kitchen. The kitchen smelled of fish and onions. Pots and pans hung from a large rack over the big wooden table. A stout older woman was bent over the table, rolling out dough. Cook, here are the ones the butler sent for, said Molly. The cook looked up from her dough and squinted at Jack and Annie. You're the ones he sent for, she said. Yes, ma'am, that's us, said Annie. The cook turned toward the fireplace. Next to the fire, an ancient-looking man with a white whiskers sat slumped in a chair, snoring. Mr. O'Leary! The old man jerked and opened his eyes. The ones you see are here, the cook shouted, as if the man were hard of hearing. The groggy butler peered at Jack and Annie. I sent for you, he growled. Not possible. I sent for a coach driver and a blacksmith. Really, said Annie. I guess there was a mistake, but maybe there are some other jobs we could do around here. Well, what are you good for? Asked the butler. What do you mean? Said Jack. Do you know how to sweep the inside of a chimney? Said the old man. No, said Jack. Pluck a chicken? The cook asked. No way, said Annie. What about rats? The said. What about them? Jack asked. They're all over the cellar. And the cook. Can you catch them? I don't think so, said Jack. But then you're no good to us here, snorted the butler. Be on your way. At that moment, Jack heard the back door open and shut. A girl about Jack's age stepped into the kitchen. She wore a red cape and carried two large empty baskets. Her wet hair was parted neatly down the middle and pulled a tight bun in the back. Ah, said the cook. Welcome back, Miss Augusta. That is the end of chapter 2.